I'd like to now go into my sermon. It's called "What Is Your Belief?" And the scripture was taken from Mark 9:23, and it reads, "And Jesus said to him, all things are possible to him who believes." So Jesus is really telling us in this scripture that anything is possible for anyone who believes. So in other words, this scripture can be restated as saying, since God is with me, all things are possible for you and me. So the big thing about that is we just we've grown with a certain set of beliefs about ourselves, developed since we were children. And many of us are still living and operating on those same beliefs. And unfortunately, it does not speak of all of our many endless possibilities, nor do these beliefs speak to the fact that we are all God's special gifts to this earth. Sometimes these damaging beliefs have formed a low self image for us about who we are and about what life is all about. This is the root of many of our life struggles, which manifest in many negative emotions such as fear, anger, guilt, and anxiety. But scripture says that we were made in the image and likeness of God, which makes us co creators with God and also more powerful than we've ever imagined. This brings about the ability, if taken the time, to imagine the grandest version of ourselves. Unfortunately, many of us were not taught this and don't think of ourselves as being powerful, nor do we realize our unlimited potential. We create a persona which we believe is real. I kind of call it the naysayers within our minds. And as a child, we come into this world as an intuitive being that is full of awareness and wide eyed curiosity. Because children tend to live their life in a whole world revolves around me type of mentality. This is the period when the ego has its biggest impact. Past hurts and childhood wounds are held onto until adulthood. Negative situations throughout our lives tend to shape our beliefs and who we are as adults. And as a result, we go through life not remembering the true God connection within us, which can make one feel lost and alone. Well, let's take a look at someone who could have been scarred for life due to negative talk directed at him as a child. It's the story of Thomas Edison, who was once described as the world's most famous inventor. When he was a young boy, he was told by his teachers that he was too stupid to learn anything. Too stupid to learn anything. Because of his supportive mother, Edison overcame this and went on to gain fame. However, as an inventor, Edison had his share of setbacks. He reportedly made over 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. But because of his tenacity, Edison is credited with coming up with the first practical and affordable light bulb, which is his most famous invention. When he was asked about his many inventions and his high failure rate, he was quoted as saying, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." So the question to you I ask is, what is your belief? I think we can all relate to that statement. Edison failed 1,000 times before getting the light bulb to work. Can you imagine? 1,000 times. So ask yourself, how many attempts would you have taken before giving up? Would it be 5 to 10 attempts? 40 to 50? Do I hear 100? Regardless, he is to be commended for 1,000 attempts and finally getting it right. So much for those who believed he was too stupid to learn anything. I find it very smart of him not to take to heart those negative comments by by those naysayers. Matter of fact, the other day I was at the doctor's office, and while I was waiting, I overheard a conversation between a mother and her young son. The boy was about 8 years old and dressed in a uniform, similar to what the boys used to wear when I was a child attending Catholic school. He was sitting next to his mom with a sad face, staring down at his pants as he listened to her speak. She was obviously very angry about being there, and she was fussing about it to him. And she was mad about having to take him to the doctor. She was telling them that he needed to work on getting better instead of being sick all the time. While still looking down, he quietly responded by saying, "But it's not my fault that I'm sick." His mom responded angrily by saying, "I told you you needed to work on eating better and exercising more. You need to practice your yoga." She actually said that. And he said something to the fact of, "But I don't feel good." And she says, "Well, you need to do better." At that moment, the nurse called them into the next room, and the mom angrily grabbed the boy's hand and said, "Come on," and led him away. Now, I have to admit that as I witnessed this exchange between the mother and the son, I was compelled to pray for the both of them. I prayed for love and healing for the mom and the son, because it was really sad to see that. From my observation, it seemed as if this mom's belief was that her son was to blame for his illness. Now, I can't say that I know their personal story or the origins of the boy's illness because I wasn't that close to them. But from what I witnessed, I think that if this mom continuously chastised her son and placed high expectations on him that were beyond his reach, then the blame for his illness should be firmly placed on the mom's shoulder. So what type of message are we sending when we place judgment and blame on our children, our families, or those we encounter on a daily basis? Think about the potential damage that is inflicted because of some outdated beliefs that results in hostile and hurtful words. And to young, impressionable ears, the words from this mom could fester inside this boy as feelings of inadequacy or self-hate. These unfair beliefs and expectations could also trigger fear, anxiety, and manifest in illness or rebellious behavior from that boy in the years to come. And we've seen that. Childhood situations like this often cause us to feel as if we aren't good enough, or we grow up feeling we need to prove ourselves or look to others for approval. We go through life with a hole within ourselves that just can't be filled. So the question I ask you is, what is your belief? I'm from the school of thought that every parent should speak blessings over their children, no matter how old they are. We all need to be reminded that God created each and every one of us as magnificent beings with the power of God running through our veins. This gives us the divine right to have, do, and be anything we desire. Remember, all things are possible. This example shows us that some of our beliefs may need a good fine-tuning, a reevaluation. Let's talk about one of my favorite, what I think to be false beliefs, which I thought was true when I was younger. It's the belief that we have to age as we get older. "You're as young as you feel" is a saying from my youth, which I have really taken to heart. How many of us still look in the mirror and speak ill of ourselves by saying things like, "I'm so old, getting so old," or "I'm getting too fat, out of shape. Oh, look at the wrinkles. And my body aches all the time." You have to speak blessings over yourself, okay? Just as we should speak blessings over our children, we likewise speak love and blessings over ourselves and our bodies. We should all get into the habit of speaking into the speaking to the healing spirit within us to heal our ailing bodies and give us energy that's needed to accomplish our task and maintain health and help us to stay young at heart. But my question to you is, what is your belief? The world is currently experiencing a period of release. When this happens in our lives, the universe is giving us a chance to let go of those thoughts, feelings, and beliefs from the past that may be negative or outdated and no longer serve us. They say that there is a season for everything. Well, this is a season to look within and let go of what's been holding you back. This is a time to create space, to release the junk inside that has kept us stagnant in order to receive the blessings that the universe has stored up for us. It's waiting for our recognition. Famous author Neville Goddard captures this thought with a quote that reads, "What a comfort it is to know that all that I experience is a result of my own standard of beliefs, that I am the center of my own web of circumstances, and that as I change, so must my outer world." And he breaks it down a little further by saying, "The rich man, the poor man, the good man, and the thief are what they are by virtue of their beliefs and states from which they view the world." So my question I ask you today is, what is your belief? We characterize our beliefs as being a long narrative that we have written for our lives. The problem is that somewhere along the way, our narratives get misconstrued with some of our limiting beliefs about ourselves and others. It's that same old story that you keep telling yourself about who you are. One such narrative is that you are not enough, thereby seeking approval from others. So what do we need to do and how can we overcome these limiting beliefs? Number one, you can know you are the writer of your own life. Take the time to notice negative patterns because you can't change something that you can't see or acknowledge. Invictus said it best with the famous quote, and I love to use this quote, and I used it so many times in my sermons, but I'm going to use it again because it makes so much sense. The quote is, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." Okay. Number two, you can question the limiting belief by digging deeper. Ask questions such as, where did I come up with this belief? And two, do I really know this to be true? Look for supporting evidence and examples in order to prove your assessment. And number three, let go and let God. If you realize that your belief is outdated or untrue now, where you stand now today, then simply state to yourself that you will now choose not to believe or place any more energy there. And then let it go. Let it go. So in conclusion, Jesus told us that all things are possible to all who believe. It's our faith in God that fuels our beliefs. And the bottom line is that we all must have absolute faith and trust in God in all areas of our lives to make the impossible possible. So let us be inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's famous quote, which states, "Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny." Remember, All things are possible to those who believe. So the question I have for you today is, what is your belief? And so it is. Namaste.